Instagram. I gotta go live. Not going live. That's why I hate doing it like this. Here we go.
So we live right now?
We live.
We live.
Do it live.
Can people hear us? See if the audio, where our audio is coming from.
Do it live. Do it live. Where's our audio? Bop, 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 bop. There we go. We live.
I think we're going to have to share the same mic.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because, watch this. Go back to the audio.
Do, do. Oh. Ba-da, ba-da, boop, 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 boop.
No, go to audio. Don't say anything.
Why are you red?
Maybe your microphone is working. I don't know.
And, well, if it ain't, let us know. But we live. So what you doing?
Okay, hit X, please. And where's Instagram at?
We're live, babe.
And nobody here? Every time we show up, there's like 90,000 people here.
Really?
I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so, but okay. Okay. I'll move the Instagram to over here. Okay. That way.
Oh, your Haitian friend is on.
Hey, Zakwasi. Hey.
Oh, my microphone. All right, y'all. Let's talk real quick because you got to leave soon.
I have to leave for work.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. Because I wanted to talk about it's this weekend. And let's be real. I have not been watching football for a long ass time. But I'm watching this weekend. I'm mainly watching for the halftime show. And I'm watching the halftime show because I want to see my boy Kendrick Lamar perform Not Like Us.
You think he's gonna do it?
No, he's not gonna
Okay,
do it.
give some background so the people know.
I mean, they know. If you don't know now, like,
Okay,
come on
just
now.
give some background
Come on
so
now.
we got something to say.
Like, what's the background? How do you not know? Not Like Us won 5 Grammy Awards. It's the
Oh,
biggest
my
song.
goodness.
The biggest song for the year. It's a song that disses Drake. Is he gonna say that? There's a lot of lawsuits. Is he gonna sing that song at the Super Bowl?
So essentially, this is a continuation, if you will, of the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. And we know that sometime late last year.
What do 2 doctors know about Drake beef?
Late last year, there was a social media beef between Drake.
Social media.
Yeah, it was all over social media. It was a beef all over social
It was
media.
a real beef.
Okay, it was a real beef between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, and they kept putting out different bars to essentially tell each other off, tell each other's business, make up some business, whatever it was. And it went back and forth and back and forth.
Did it really go back and forth?
It went back and forth.
It went back and forth. Then
It was
forth,
like a
forth,
good-
fourth. Because I think after a while, it was really clear somebody was winning this battle.
Okay, I understand that, but
There
it's
wasn't
still,
no back and forth.
Listen. It did, but just because
Lawsuits.
the
She's
victor
right, lawsuits.
victored doesn't mean that the loser didn't throw his fair share of punches. Okay, I don't know if they landed, but your temperature is too high. You're gonna
Yeah,
have
it's
to
too hot in
switch the camera. They can probably still hear us, but they can't see us. So we're gonna switch our camera. Ooh. And whoop. There we go. And whoop.
We're right there.
There we go. We back. So now what ended up happening, right? For those of you who may not know, is that Drake essentially has 2 lawsuits going? Is it 2 lawsuits going
Yeah,
now?
He has multiple. Basically, what he's doing,
has multiple lawsuits.
He's suing. What do you call it? He's suing the biggest music label in the world, and basically he's saying that all the stuff that you use to make me the #1 artist of the decade, you are using right now to promote this song, and I don't like it. And part of the reason that you're using this to promote this song is basically because it's time for me to get a new contract. And you know that if I look bad in front of the public and if my music is not selling, then now that it's time to re-up our this contract, that you're not going to pay me what my real money is. So in essence, it's like libel against me. That's what he's basically claiming. He's like, you guys are besmirching me, or what's besmirching me, so that when it comes down for negotiations, you know, I'm not going to get what I really deserve.
Right.
So, and the question is, you know, is
so
you know,
wait,
the,
so
no,
wait.
hold on. The question is, you know, is Kendrick Lamar going to play this at the Super Bowl? Because does the NFL want to get involved with this lawsuit? Because as part of the lawsuits, he was saying as part of his exhibits, like Exhibit A is like RDC World. Exhibit B is this person on YouTube. Exhibit C is this podcast. So he's listening, scouring, and seeing all the different people who are either playing his music, reviewing that music, or, you know, making skits. And he's saying that all of these things right here are further proof that you are besmirching me. So the question is if Kendrick Lamar goes and performs, will the NFL be part of that lawsuit?
So here's the question, though, is what has been the response from the NFL about this? What has been their communication to Kendrick Lamar?
So what they said is that they can't control what he says. Because apparently they told
that is correct.
They told Snoop Dogg not to throw up gang signs during the
and
Super
he was
Bowl.
like
And he
crip
threw up
walking all kinds of.
So they said, look, like whatever you do is like that's on you, not on us. It's not a representation of us. That's what they're saying and
of
stuff.
the NFL.
So I think what they're
well,
probably
especially
telling
because
him,
they don't get paid for that.
they're probably
NFL
telling him like, do not play
performance.
that song, please. And if he plays it, then they'll just say, hey, we didn't know he was going to play this, and we can't stop him from playing the song.
Well, and especially because they're not paying him.
Correct.
You don't get paid, right? So we talked about this last year or 2 years ago when Rihanna did the
artists
Super Bowl,
artists don't get paid anymore.
Right. That was the point
anymore.
at which we talked about it. Obviously, people haven't been getting paid for the Super Bowl for a long time, but we ended up talking about it specifically when Rihanna ended up performing. And if they are not paid by the NFL, right? If Kendrick Lamar is not going to be paid by the NFL, then can they be?
Yes, they don't get paid. Someone is asking that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the NFL is saying that we have the biggest platform. We have all the eyes on us. We're no longer paying you.
Right.
And some, if not all, of the artists are smart enough to say, well, you know, if you're not going to pay me, then what I'll do is I'll sell merchandise.
I'll use it as promo.
Or I'll record during this time, and then I'll sell it. Like how Beyonce, you know, she did that cowboy. I forget what NFL game she did a couple of weeks ago, but Netflix recorded it, and then she sold it and making a tons of money off of it. So
right.
it ends
so
up it ends up
content.
being a win-win.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So
the key thing right now is, thought y'all were in Ghana. First of all, why are you like checking for us like that?
do that. Dr. Charlie B. What up?
Removing liability off this. That's true. Yeah. So I was in Ghana actually about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was hot and dusty. All the dust from the Sahara Desert making its way down into Western Africa. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the NFL is removing all liability from themselves.
Real quick, though, because this gets boring after a while. Listen, what y'all here to know is, the GNX album, y'all need to go listen to that.
What makes
Best
you think they hear to hear
album,
that?
best rap album in the past 5 years, and I'm saying it. It is an amazing album. So the reason why Taylor Swift was going crazy at the Grammys is her AP, the person who makes her music, like the beats and all that stuff. He's the same person who worked with Kendrick Lamar and GNX, as well as these diss records. That's part of the reason why she was all excited and stuff, because they like this now. They buddy and stuff. And Drake is probably pissed about that, but either way, it's like, yo, that album GNX, Chef's Kiss, amazing album.
Chef's Kiss.
There's nothing
facts
to skip.
On facts.
There's nothing to skip. Nothing to skip. I'm telling you. Even Dr. Charlie knows. Charlie, am I lying? GNX. Yo, it's not like his other albums, well, particularly the one Mr. Morale, where you needed like a decoder ring to understand what he's talking about and all this stuff. It's like, look, man, just rap. And you just saw, or what you hear in this album is elite rapping, what you would expect in 2024, 2025. It is an amazing.
Would you expect it in 1993?
If you were in 1993 and you wanted to know what rapping in 2025 would sound like,
Yeah.
this is what it would be like.
This is what it would
This is
be
what
like.
it'd be like. It production is amazing. The levels of the background beats is not too high, it's not too low. Whoever, like, he's rapping with so much emotion. The music is matching that. The beats are matching that. Like, there's meaning behind what he's rapping about. He's not just saying stuff just to say stuff. And I think that he sets the bar as to what every rapper should want to make their music kind of sound like in 2025.
Okay, now question.
Yeah.
Question. I'm gonna ask you. Hey, Dr. Quadcast. Okay, question. Because years ago, about I want to say a little bit more than 20 years ago, you told me that there was a rap artist who was going to save hip hop, and that rap artist was
Kanye. He did.
Kanye West.
Yeah, he changed rap.
So, is Kendrick Lamar going to save hip hop once again? And does hip hop need to be saved?
No, it doesn't need to be saved. I think it's in a much better place now than it was in 2002, 2003.
So Kanye West ended up being a hero in all of this.
Yeah, he was from 2003 to 2011. That's the only version that I'm going to endorse. That I'm going to endorse.
Old as hell.
Everything after 808s, or certainly everything after my dark twisted fantasy, I don't endorse. And definitely the stuff that he's been saying now, I don't endorse. But from 2003,
I'm just talking about him as an artist, not him as
he's
a
amazing.
person.
Who's going to say that he hasn't?
Yeah, not him as a person.
The way in which he changed music and the way how music was made, there was a grandiosity to it that it was missing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He started making like stadium beats and stuff like that. And then he changed the way in which, he made it more. I feel like he made the mass appeal of rap music better without necessarily selling out. If you know what I mean, right?
Okay.
Right. So I thought he did that. But Kendrick Lamar, no, I don't think this album would do that. I think he's already done that in 2011, 2012. He took the baton from Kanye and all those other folks and ran with it, and continues to be the pinnacle of what you would expect an excellent rapper to be at, and that's where he's at. Between him, J. Cole, I think those are the two best lyrically, people who write their own lyrics. Those are the two best, I think.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, it'll be very interesting to see on Sunday. I'm working on Sundays, so I'll have to just kind of, check in and out between patients to see if he does.
I don't think he's going to play.
End up. I think he's going to perform it. If he doesn't perform the entire thing, there's no way. Like, for me, like, I don't know Kendrick Lamar very well. I don't know him like, as an artist the way that you do. Right. But what I do know about him, or my impression of him, is that he's a little bit of a rebel. And rebels, they don't die easily. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he's a rebel. I think that he's going to do things differently. But this is what I think he will do. He'll play the beat and then he'll rap about something else.
Maybe.
Right. So he'll make like a freestyle over that beat.
Okay.
And just be like, I'm done with this guy.
Okay.
So I want to do something completely different.
Okay.
That's what I think he'll do.
Okay. Because I'm like, there's no way that he's going to get off that Super Bowl stage without that beat. Because let me tell you, while the lyrics are thoroughly entertaining,
and what's interesting, real quick,
the beat is what makes like.
So because the one I want to ask people is because Not Like Us won so many awards, and people are saying it's the greatest diss record of all time. Is that necessarily true? Because I still believe that Euphoria is better than Not Like Us.
Well,
because Not Like Us is like a club banger, but it happens to have a diss within it. But it really is just like, it's a really good song that has a diss in it. Whereas Euphoria is like, move out the way, I'm coming directly, and I'm coming after you. That's how I feel. It's just that it's not like, you can play it in strip clubs, you can play it in certain types of clubs, but it's not.
How you know about the strip club?
I just know.
What strip club you been going to that they play Euphoria?
Strip clubs.
Going to Magic City, ATL. I think he is going to play it. I don't think that he's going to say the most egregious things that he says about Drake. But
back to patient care. Thanks.
Bye, Dr. Elise. but I think he is going to play it. He might do some freestyle, but I don't think that he's going to leave that Super Bowl without playing that beat. Not at all. And the fact that they played a very specific part of the song at the Grammys. I only saw clips because I don't watch Grammys. I don't watch award shows.
They've already started doing previews for his Super Bowl show with
Yeah, but the fact that they played that particular clip of his music at the Grammys, right? Struck a chord and it's a minor, right? I'm like, oh my God. That's probably one of the worst things that he could say in that song.
And everybody said it.
And everybody was just...
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play it, though.
Sing. I don't know.
I don't think
he might do a little freestyle. I think he might take some of it. I don't know. We'll see. What are you guys thinking? Hedging your bets. If you had to hedge your bets, give me a thumbs up for you think he is going to play the song, not in its full effect, but gonna play some of the song, or he's not. It's off the table. Give me a thumbs down. Give me a thumbs down. But I think he's gonna play it.
In the meantime,
yes.
Let's change direction. Let's talk about real quick, because people want to know how we do locums. For those who don't know, locums is independent contracting. That's when you work at a hospital or a clinic, but you don't work as an employee, right? You work. What did someone say?
He stripped clothes. I'm out.
Yeah, but you work as an independent contractor. So for me, I work in Pennsylvania. It's about 5 hours from my house, and I stay in a hotel. And I will work for 7 days straight. And for 7 days or 8 days, I'm in a hotel there. And then when I'm finished, I come home. But I'm gone. Like, I'm not with my kids. I'm not with my wife for 7 days, right? That's not taking them to school. That's not putting them to bed. Any issues that occur, I'm not there, right? And that's video chatting. And we've been doing that off and on for with traveling, significant traveling, for at least 5 years now? 6 years?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's a long time.
Yeah.
That, for at least 14 days, you're just out of commission. You're not there, possibly. And then not to mention, Renee also works weekends at times.
I'm going to work in about an hour and a half.
So the question that people ask us is, how does that affect the relationship? Does it have a negative effect on our relationship, being away from each other
for so many consecutive days? And this kind of ropes back in. If you guys watch or listen to our podcast, Docs Outside the Box, we encourage you to listen to it. But we recently got a question from a listener or a viewer of the podcast, essentially saying, I'll just, very quickly, essentially saying that she got married very shortly before medical school. And she I don't know if it's even a she or a he. So this student actually, because they don't say what they are. So this student actually got married shortly before medical school. Now this student's spouse is saying, now that residency is upcoming, that the spouse is not going to be accompanying the medical student to wherever they go in residency, because it's not going to be in or near their hometown. And so that student is now feeling blindsided and feeling like, we talked about this and, the spouse has changed their mind. And what do you do about this? They are seeking counseling, but not necessarily for this reason. They have been doing counseling as kind of maintenance very early in their marriage, as it was, I guess a recommendation by both sets of parents. But what do you guys think about it in the meantime? What if you were doing residency and you were married in med school, but your spouse said, well, I'm not going over there with you. I will see you on the weekends.
This is tough, man. This is tough. Because being married to someone in medicine is extremely difficult, particularly if you're not in medicine. Mm-hmm. And actually, if you're in medicine, it's tough also, right? But if you're not in medicine and you don't understand the process and the sacrifice that's needed and the long-term view of like, this is like a 10, 15-year like window that we're talking about, it's very much like almost being like married to like an athlete, right?
Yeah, probably.
Right? Like there's
probably not as bad, but I would imagine there are similarities.
I mean, because like this person is going through a process that you're not going through.
And that you can't really understand.
You can't really understand.
Yeah.
The highs are high, but the lows are low, right? So a lot of times it requires sacrifice physically from that person who's going through that process, but it requires a significant amount of sacrifice on the partner to, in essence, put that person, that athlete, that doctor, the person who's pursuing medicine, to put them in essence as the number one priority, whatever they need.
Right.
That's tough.
So I'm rewatching the show, The Game.
Yeah.
Right. With Pooch Hall and Tia Mowry and Raquel, Wendy.
We get
something.
the point. The Game.
Anyway, The Game. And essentially so Tia plays Melanie, who is a medical student, right? And she's married to an athlete. So it's very interesting, that you kind of use the athlete, the athlete analogy, because now what you have are two very demanding fields that require a lot of your time. You can't just part-time go to medical school, right? Like you got to go. You can't part-time athlete. Like you have to be there. And so there's this struggle of, okay, well, whose dream is more important, right? And that becomes part of the show. And I think that that's what happens with people who are married to someone who's in medicine, and perhaps they're not in medicine, or maybe even to people who are married, together and who are in medicine, right? Like whose life takes priority. And I think it takes a very special...
There's societal norms that occur, and the societal norms are that the person in med school, not in the TV show perspective, but the person who's in medicine, that their life or their pursuit usually supersedes what other people are doing and stuff. So what do you do in a situation where that other person is like,
right,
not so fast.
Right.
Like I still got priorities, and I still want to prioritize my sanity, closeness. In this case, what we got written about, proximity to family and so forth. What do you do in that situation? Is that a red flag?
Right.
That's where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you,
I think it is, and I think it isn't.
So us being married as two physicians, I think, one, like you said, it's a little bit easier for both of us to kind of understand where each other's coming from. We've told the story on the podcast before, Docs Outside the Box podcast. We've told the story on the podcast before about how when we were both in residency, you were in Atlanta and I was in New Jersey. I did my residency for 4 years. You did your residency for 5. And we were apart for most of that. But there were points at which I would come to visit you. And I would get this. We would only see each other 4 times a year. That's how many times we saw each other. In 4 years, we saw each other 16 times.
Yeah.
Right? So there was one time, however, I came to see you. I'll say 15 and a half times. Because that one time I came to see you, you were on transplant rotation. And I came to see you for 3 days. I think I saw you half a day.
Yes.
I saw you half a day out of all those 3 days. And someone asked me, like, aren't you pissed? Aren't you mad? You came all the way from New Jersey to see him and he's not even here. And I was just like, yeah, but that's the job. Like,
they don't understand.
Right. They don't understand. That's the job. So, being married to somebody in medicine is not easy. And sometimes it's very easy to just be like, oh, very early in the relationship, these butterflies are going off. Yes, if you want to do whatever, I'll go with you. I'll follow you anywhere. I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. But then when the end of the earth really comes, you be like, am I really going to jump off that cliff?
Yeah, that's the key, because it's a lot of changing. It's a lot of, you have to move, likely may have to move every 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And that is normal if you're going through the process.
Exactly.
Right? Like an athlete who may have to be traded multiple places,
right,
or may need to change coaches, or may need to change regimens. Like in residency or in the pursuit of becoming a doctor, like you may have to go to a different residency program.
Right.
Or you may, after you finish residency, you're probably not going to stay in that area.
Right.
Because you're going to find a job that may bring you closer to family, or just be in an area that you may want to be that's not where you did your residency
right.
spot. So Like the
But
you're gonna have to travel. There's gonna be a lot of traveling, and if you are not in the medical field, it's hard, right? Because now you have to change jobs, you have to move, and then you have to document that on your resume, or you know that follows you. Like, why do you keep moving 3 to 4 years? Like, well, I'm following my spouse,
right.
right? And it's not guaranteed that wherever you go to next, you're gonna find a position in that respective field. You're not gonna find the same pay, all those different things. So I get it, man. I get it. I think it's tough. Now,
I mean, you might even encounter that in medical school.
Specifically for us, though, I think what we were trying to talk about is, like what happens when I'm gone consistently or vice versa, and the amount of time that we have when you're talking about an entire month, it goes from, okay, having an entire month together to now squeezed together. It's really almost like
13 to 15 days.
Right. How does that affect us?
Yeah. So yeah, we recently got that question about, well, how does that affect us? We'll do a complete episode about it. But yeah, I think for us, I think we're a special case. What you think?
Answer the question.
I do. I think I'm answering the question. You don't hear me? I think we're a special case, don't you?
Don't you agree?
Don't you agree? We're a special case.
Oh, we got people sending comments here. Oh, snap. I didn't even see these comments. Oh, my God.
So.
It's still so exhilarating to re-listen to Euphoria. So true. See? I still listen to Euphoria right now. Euphoria is amazing. 13 minutes.
Split Twig says we are definitely a special case. See?
13 minutes isn't long enough. That is true. So 13 minutes for the Super Bowl is not enough. I said that last year. Was it Usher?
Yes,
Usher did last year.
Yeah, you were not happy with Usher.
I didn't like his performance. I know a lot of people. I don't like let me do my entire discography in 13 minutes. I think that's a waste of time.
And he's been out for so long.
Choose 4 songs and just
do that.
Do that, but do the whole. You got it. And you switch to something else.
Oh.
I don't like that.
Wanna with new relationship. This is what you do.
She also said,
caught up.
Let me see. Does that show up on Instagram when
y'all
we do this?
Y'all didn't enjoy that, right?
Does this show up on Instagram when we do this?
16 times in 4 years is insane.
Dang.
I know, right?
Going to school to save lives, putting their love life on the line. So grateful for the sacrifices you all have to make.
Yeah.
Split Twig. Send us some money, too.
Bless my cash app.
Thank you.
No, so to answer the question, for us, we spent a lot of time getting to know each other.
No, Rihanna was 2 years ago, I think.
Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. We spent a lot of time getting to know each other in medical school. We spent a lot of time together in medical school as well. Like, we could spend probably, 10, 16 hours together every day in medical school. So, for us, that's why I say we're a little bit of a special case. And not that people don't, that other people don't do this, but I think that, spending that much time together, especially before we went our separate ways to Atlanta and New Jersey for residency, I think the time that we spent together was a lot so that we got to know each other very, very well. I don't know that in the traditional.
I think you're being nice about it. I think you're being
nice about it.
Look, I'll be honest with you.
I don't know in the traditional.
You gotta like your partner.
Of course, you gotta like your partner. But I think you have to have time
to
know the partner in order to. But that's what I'm.
But if you had the time to know your partner and you don't like your partner,
you would think that I don't like this guy. I really do like him.
But if you don't like your partner, even after spending all this time before kids and all these different things, right? Like, I think if you like your partner, if you love your partner and you respect their grind and stuff,
yes,
right? And if you know that the overall grind or the reason why you're far apart is for a greater goal that you guys are all going to benefit from, then you guys can make anything work.
But but getting to that point,
for example,
I think
but
takes
hold on, let me finish real quick.
time for some people.
For example, so that one thing that we were talking about, the couple that we were talking about, right? Where you have, she's going through medical school, and now at the last minute before the match, her partner says, y'all gonna have to stay home.
Right.
Like, if that person doesn't see the greater good, that yes, we're gonna
that's
be moving,
a problem.
We're gonna be moving, and like she as a in the healthcare field, she doesn't have mobility like you do.
Right. Right.
So like it's going to affect not only her education if she keeps moving all over the place, not voluntarily,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So like who's in the worst situation?
Right.
She or that
Yeah.
person is and stuff. So that's the
Right.
way I look at it. It's like, yo, like,
I think there is something to be said about moving as a unit, right? And I think this is the problem right now, right? This is the problem right now in that particular relationship is that they're not moving as a unit, right? If you don't move as a unit and you say, "Okay, well you do your thing, I'm going to do my thing." And I just want to stay here because I like it here, not well, let's go to your place because of X, Y, and Z, or saying, you know what? Residency is temporary and you don't have to move all over the place because I think it can go both ways. I don't think that the spouse necessarily has to move. I think that there is an option for the medical student to be flexible and say, residency is temporary, so I'm not going to uproot you yet again to come to someplace that is temporary. Since we are, going to eventually meet up and live together in about
weekends,
3-4 years,
weekends.
we'll see each other over the weekend. I don't think that that's unreasonable.
More
as
than
well.
likely, that's going to be one weekend a month, though. Likely.
Right.
More
Maybe.
than likely. Yeah.
Depending on how far.
Well,
Depending on how far.
if it's a residency, you're not going to have multiple weekends off.
Well,
in a
that's
month.
true too. That's true too. But that doesn't
unless you're in an easy residency like OB.
Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, you now you're talking out your neck. But but that being said, right? Like you're not spending 72 hours in your residency program, a weekend at a time, right? Like so
But-
even if you are on call for the weekend, you still come home at some point.
Yeah, but when are you going to go see that person?
When are you gonna see
They're
that?
gonna
It
come see
depends
you.
on. No, the spouse will come and see that person. Will
Right.
come see the med student. That's what I mean.
Well, let's
Like
hope so.
I mean, you don't expect a resident to be the one traveling every weekend.
All
That's
right,
that's crazy.
But back to us, though. Back to us. So do you have a problem with me being gone all the time?
I got a problem with you being home.
You see, she won't answer the question.
No, I don't have a problem with you being gone. I don't have a problem with you being gone because, I know what the deal is. I know what we're working towards. Is it hard sometimes when you're not home? Absolutely, it's hard, right? Like sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I really wish Nee was here. I wish I had some adult conversation.
Yeah, because
I
you're
wish
having conversations with a 7-year-old and
and a
5-year-old.
5-year-old,
You're trying to
right?
do homework with them. You're trying to pick them up from
Exactly.
school. You're giving them a bath.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
And you're also doing stuff like for the podcast.
Right.
You're doing stuff clinically.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
It's tough.
It's a lot on you.
Yeah.
Because I know when, like, for example, this weekend when you leave, like, because you primarily do all the cooking and all those different things, like for me, it's a wow, let's just get through this weekend the best way we can and so forth. But it's tough.
Yeah.
And I only have to do it a weekend, right? Like
Right.
you have to do it like several days in a row.
Yeah.
And get them to school. This weekend they're not going to school
Right.
except for Monday,
Right.
right? So it's tough.
Yeah.
I think it's tough. I think if it was switched. Now, I think the key question here, this is one thing that I really want to.
Kiara says, "Why not? Military uproots every few years."
One thing that I really
Yeah,
would
it's
like
kind
to
of
know,
like a military relationship.
and this is for the men out there, is would you be comfortable switching places? Because you asked me this question a lot, which is, Nee, why don't you switch where you're with the kids? And then
Yeah, I always tell you,
go
if
to
you ever
work?
want to switch, I'm more than happy to switch.
You say that a lot, and I do believe you. I think for me, though, there's something.
But bring it home the bacon.
I would be okay. For example, like I think the key thing is, would I be okay if you making more than me? Right? That's what it boils down to.
I don't
right?
think you would care.
But so listen, you're getting to you're landing. Let me land.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like we going through the skies right now. So the question is, would you be okay, or would I be okay with you making more than me? Would most men be okay with making more
Kiara
money?
says ego.
I think most men would not be okay with the woman making more than them, significantly more.
Well, yeah, I think because, there's this power dynamic, right, that potentially comes with someone making more money than the other person, right? But that's where I go back to moving as a unit.
And for
if
the
you
record,
don't see your family as a unit,
and for the record, y'all, like I grew up in a house where my dad made more money than my mom, but like I would never know, right? And at least I don't think anybody else ever knew, but they both worked.
yeah.
So
Does
for
the same
me,
for me.
I was in a situation where I was like, she gonna work and I'm gonna work, and that's the way it's gonna be. Like I'm not one of those guys who are just
You
like,
gonna go to work,
I'm
woman.
gonna be a doctor and then my wife is not gonna work. Like I just never,
I'm gonna be a
I don't
doctor.
understand that concept. It's like, I don't get that, right? For me, I just don't get that. Like you just gonna have to
My
work.
wife.
If we have kids,
She
and
doesn't
maybe,
work at all.
yeah, I don't get that. I don't understand that at all. To me, that makes no sense. And I'm willing to debate somebody about that, but I don't get that. Like, if you marry someone,
Yeah, I see
and
a
you're
lot of
doctor,
posts on Instagram about that. Like, I work as a doctor so that my wife can stay home. I'm like, you ain't even married yet. You don't even know who she is yet.
I don't understand that at all. To me, I'll say right. I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, you're working. You went to school so that when you meet someone that you've never met before, they don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of relationship is this? I don't understand that.
Kiara says, I tried not working. Hated it.
Yeah, but you're doing something at home though, right? But like to have a mentality of I'm going to go to school, I'm going to become a doctor, I'm going to make all this money so that then my partner doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
It's like, so what are they? I don't.
What they
understand.
doing? They
That's
taking care of
that's-
you.
But that's a weird. I feel like that's a weird dynamic, right? That's a control issue. I think.
Maybe. But I mean, look, the reality is if you move as a unit, at the end of the day, that's what matters. If you don't move as a unit, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work for at least one person, which if it doesn't work for one person, doesn't work for both. Right. And that's I think that's the point. Right. As far as, making who makes more money, who doesn't make more money. If you move as a unit, it doesn't matter. Right. Because it becomes a pool. You and I talk about this on the podcast a lot. Right. Couples who essentially say this your money and this my money and never the two shall mix until it's time to pay bills. Right. You and I don't work like that. But there are a lot of people who do. And I would just be very interested to know that people who function like that as a couple, like, are they truly moving as one unit, right? Because for us, we feel like there's just a pot of money and we just, whatever money comes in, we just put that in the pot. And then that way
so
we
here's an
make
example.
decisions as
Here's
to
an
where
example.
we're going to throw that money.
Here's an example. So Renee, when she delivered, she spent a significant amount of time with our first child home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I did is I made sure that, so she wasn't working as a doctor at the time, but I made sure from a tax standpoint that my salary was divided in two so that she could continue to get a salary because we were working as locums. Right?
Yeah.
So we did it so that the salary that I got was divided. It wasn't just my salary. It was my salary and her salary. And the reason why that's important is a lot of times women, particularly women who give birth, when they give birth, and even for a significant time afterwards, they lose the ability to put money into their retirement, right? Because they're not working, right? They're not creating an income. And I just didn't want it to be a situation where, like, 3 years in, 5 years in, Renee is like at a significant, disadvantage than I am. Right. Because she's taking care of our kids. So I was really intentional with letting the CPA know and our financial advisor know, listen, if there's a way that she can maintain her salary so that she can continue to put money towards the retirement, which would benefit all of us, that would be beneficial. And I also said, listen, like, let's say, for example, we did get a divorce. Then she's really at a disadvantage.
Give me half, Eddie.
Right? So.
Yeah, and then I take that, come after that half.
Well, you have to break through the prenup, though.
What you don't have a prenup, Nee.
We signed a prenup.
We did not
Yes,
sign
we
a
did.
prenup, Nee.
Yes, we did.
And then you woke up. This is why you like Kanye. We want prenup.
What did Kiara say?
Yeah.
Kiara says, agreed. It becomes a point of contention at some point. Maybe not initially, but down the line.
Yeah.
What's she talking about?
When you have people who, when you have that power dynamic over money. When you have a power dynamic over money, it becomes a point of contention, right? Who makes more? This person makes more, this, that. You have to move as a unit. You are taking care of the family. And listen, I say this all the time. I feel like there are some people who marry who don't see their spouse as part of their family. What are you doing, me? Right? Who don't see their spouse as part of their family. They see their spouse as separate from their family. I do everything for my kids. My kids come first, my this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And the spouse is someone who is just kind of a potential rival in the house. And I'm like, well, if you see your family in that way, it basically means you're not moving as a unit, and you're always going to have some level of contention with this person that you're married to, that you say you love. So, you know,
Well, anyway, I would say this.
What do
I
you
would
say?
say this. We make it work because we are on the same accord. We're on the same page.
Give me half AD.
She's got to still work, so I got to buck up. So we have a rule: when one person works, the other person doesn't. And
Yes.
the reason why is we want to make sure that the kids always have a parent at home. So this weekend she's going to work. I'm not working, right? So I'm with the kids.
Stay home.
I'm taking them to jujitsu. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to make them for
Jujitsu.
dinner.
I gotta watch the thing.
Right. So we're doing all these different things, and then when I'm working, she's at home, and we sacrifice money, but the kids are not with a nanny. Which for us, don't take this the wrong way, guys, but for us,
We
like
just
a
don't want
nanny,
one.
We just don't want one, So I mean, that's just the way how it is.
Yeah.
Our kids better freaking, they better be.
They're not gonna be grateful.
They better be grateful for this.
They won't be
You know what I'm
grateful
saying?
until they're nice and grown.
So that's all I'm saying.
Until they're nice and grown.
But yo, you gotta go, yo.
I gotta go to
we
work.
gotta end this show. So
gotta
people
go
are
to
listening and
work.
this, you're like, well, what does Kendrick
My
Lamar
cousin
got to do
take
with
my
Docs
bike
outside the
and I
box?
gotta
And we
go to
made it
work.
work. All right, y'all.
I
So
gotta go to work.
shout out to everybody who came up on our live.
What's up, Kiara?
This is gonna be an episode.
Split Twigs.
This is gonna be an
Dr.
episode.
Sabine.
They can't hear us.
Why can't they hear
both of
us?
They can't hear both of us.
Yeah, so you should be quiet.
So we just want to give a shout out to everybody who's showing up, and we're gonna catch you guys on the next live, y'all. Also, if you've seen us on YouTube, make sure you leave the comments below. That helps the algorithms and helps us go. And remember, we're Docs Outside the Box podcast on all the DSPs, right? That is Spotify, that is Apple Podcasts. Whatever you use to listen to your favorite music, that's where you can catch us also, all right?
Yeah, so DM us if you have any questions. DM us with any comments that you have, or leave comments on our posts or questions on our posts, and we will answer them on the podcast.
All right, y'all. Peace. I'm not ending this because last time I ended it, you get all upset. So
I'm ending this. It's over.